the way it was directed and the way it happened, it's sure 100% that there are people behind them, people who help them. It doesn't mean that someone in Raqqa picked up the phone yesterday and said, go for it. No, it means that they ordered, they helped on the logistics, but they could have prepared it for months. And I guess it's the case. And this is the way they handled to stay under the radars of surveillance and didn't get caught. Because if someone picks up the phone and said, go, they're going to get caught. If there's a real link, they're going to get caught very quickly. And on the other hand, if they were like lone wolf attacks, people without any organization, unprofessional attacks, they also get caught. Remember what's happening here since the beginning of the year. Many attacks failed. Many attacks failed. The Thalys attack, the attack that failed against a church here in the outskirts of Paris, and all the attacks failed, and all the attacks were done by lone wolf. What's a lone wolf? It's a guy who is motivated by the ideology of the Islamic State, who got the chance to have arms, who is pushed by someone there maybe, but not officially. We have to make really the difference between an operation which is mastered and handled by a group, as the Kouachi brothers with Charlie Hebdo, and what happened yesterday here in France, and attacks that could be made by lone wolves with the knife or with the gun or with anything, and which usually fail, at least here in Europe.
And what's the aim of these attacks? I mean, the Islamic State group can't really imagine that this is going to stop French involvement, for example, on the ground in Syria or perhaps even in Iraq?
It's not the aim. It's not the aim. Their aim is to create more and more insecurity and more a tense atmosphere here in Europe, because they are in a global jihad. For them, there is no boundaries. For them, they are avenging the people they want, who they wish, who they pretend to represent. So for them, it's an open war. There's no civilian and no military. And knowing that France is engaged in many fronts against jihadi movements, either in Northern Africa or in Yemen, Somalia, Afghanistan, and now Syria and Iraq, for them, France is a target, is a primary target, without forgetting also that France is at reach for them. They cannot reach the United States. They cannot make a new 9/11, at least till now. So France is at reach, so they hit when they can. That's what they did in Tunisia, that's what they did with the Russian plane in the Sinai, that's what they did in Beirut, and they are very pragmatic in what they are doing. They have the chance to do it, so they do it, and without forgetting that it gives them a bigger aura in comparison with Al-Qaeda. Today, they want to be the ones who represent this global jihad, and they are surpassing Al-Qaeda in their deeds.
And as you mentioned, this attack has been planned months in advance. But the timing is interesting. It came just in the evening of a day when we were announcing that possibly the Jihadi John, the man known as Jihadi John, the British national who's been very much a public figure for the Islamic State group as being part of the videos of beheadings of foreign nationals, that he may have been killed by a US drone strike. We had the US yesterday saying that, the Islamic State's days are numbered. This attack, does that show that actually that is not at all the case?
Of course, and I said it here at 2024 and with you, that having military setbacks on the ground, and we said it before the attacks, having military setbacks on the ground doesn't mean that they don't have the means to conduct terror attacks on foreign soils. It doesn't have anything to do, because if they're losing ground, so what? Be it. But they have people here. And remember when the attacks at Charlie Hebdo occurred, everybody was asking, how many foot soldiers does Al-Qaeda in Yemen have? It's not the point. They were able to motivate 2 French citizens to act on their behalf. So this is what we have to try to imagine. It's not by waging war there on them that's the terror attack here is going to decrease. I guess it's the contrary. So we are in a changing world. We are in a changing way of waging war. And by hitting here in France, their aim is very precise. They want to shake the French state. They want to diminish the everything that is represented by France and by the West, in liberty of speech, liberty of personal information. Because what we're going to have, what's the reaction of governments? They're going to make more laws. They're going to put more restrictions. They're going to have more suspicion between the communities, between the Muslims and the French, and French Muslims and Catholic French. So this is the aim.
Backlash could feed more extremism.
Of course. Extremism always feed on each other. It's gonna make the far right get stronger. It's gonna make their ideology look more like as sticking to reality by saying, look at your countries, they are waging war on you. As Muslim, you cannot live as you want to live. And we told you that since the beginning. That's what they're doing in Syria. In Syria, they said since the beginning, we're gonna fight everybody. So when we create coalitions with yesterday's enemies to fight them, they say, look, we told you since day one that all these people are gonna make an alliance against us. And when I think of that, I think of Iranian militiamen under U.S. cover with the Syrian warplanes, above them American warplanes, then French warplanes. So this is on the right path of their propaganda. So we have to be careful with that, and we have to know one more time that it's not by waging war outside that the terror inside is gonna be diminished or less present on. It's a real political and social problem today which concerns the whole world. Each and every country is concerned by this phenomenon.
And just finally, do you think that as you were saying, this is an attack on the French way, on the Western ways of freedom, of expression, etc., what Angela Merkel called murderers who hate this life of freedom? Is that what explains these targets? Because I mean, most focus would have been on the French underground, the Paris underground, etc., or monuments. And in fact, it was, trendy neighborhoods, young people that became the targets.
No, for them, they are targeting, of course, the way of life, but for them too, they are on a holy war. So for them, they are fighting evil, they are fighting vice, they are fighting prostitution. For them, all this is evil, and so they are fighting and they are willing to die for it. And what we should point out too, that we heard in some media that it's like police suicide what they're doing. It's not at all. They triggered the explosives, so they went there to die. They want to die in the name of their cause. So they're very determined people, very motivated people, and this should be also taken in consideration, because we used to think that those people are amateurs. They won't be able to make their state. They won't be able to constitute a threat, but they are here, and they are here since years.